The Department of Justice on Friday released more than 300,000 pages of photos, documents, and evidence connected to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, a long-anticipated disclosure ordered under a congressional transparency mandate. The Justice Department's latest document dump, released to meet a congressional deadline, contains thousands of pages, many heavily redacted, but the images that are visible are already igniting controversy. The sprawling cache includes images of Epstein and his longtime associate Ghislaine Maxwell socializing with some of the world's most powerful figures. Among those appearing prominently in the files is former President Bill Clinton. One image appears to show former U.S. President Bill Clinton in a swimming pool alongside Maxwell and several unidentified women. Other photographs and records show Clinton traveling with Epstein internationally and attending high-profile events. Among the most talked-about images is this photograph showing Clinton reclining in a hot tub with an unidentified woman. Other images show Clinton traveling with Epstein on private planes and vacationing overseas. The DOJ provided no context for the images and emphasized that appearing in the files does not imply wrongdoing. Still, the release immediately sparked intense reaction across political and media circles. Within hours, Clinton broke his silence. In a sharply worded statement issued through a spokesperson, he turned the focus back onto the Trump administration, accusing the White House of timing the release to deflect from what may come next. White House hasn't been hiding these files for months only to dump them late on a Friday to protect Bill Clinton, the spokesperson said, adding that the move was about shielding themselves from what comes next or from what they'll try and hide forever. Bill Clinton's team dismissed the significance of the images, calling them grainy 20-plus-year-old photos and insisting the former president has nothing to hide. The spokesperson said Clinton severed ties with Epstein before his crimes became public. The statement went further, drawing a line between those who cut off Epstein early and those who continued relationships afterward. "We're in the first group," the spokesperson said, adding that Americans want answers, not scapegoats. The files also reference other high-profile figures, including Britain's disgraced former royal Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, his former wife Sarah Ferguson, and King of Pop Michael Jackson. Mentions of Michael Trump are limited, and he has never been accused of wrongdoing in the case. The Justice Department acknowledged that not all Epstein-related materials have yet been released and confirmed that additional documents are expected to be unsealed before the end of the year. Lawmakers and transparency advocates say the heavy redactions leave major questions unanswered, fueling frustration and suspicion about who is being protected and why. As more files are expected, the Epstein case continues to cast a long shadow, reopening debates about power, accountability, and whether the full truth has yet to come out. The Epstein files have reopened old wounds and reignited debates about power, accountability, and whether justice has truly been served or delayed for far too long.
The Justice Department has begun releasing its files on the late financier and sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, but as the release was happening, it became clear immediately that this was just the beginning of the disclosure of documents from the Justice Department. People looking for revelations, for bombshells in these documents would come away disappointed. There was some new information about a 1996 complaint to the FBI involving Epstein that predates the investigations that were public, the ones in the mid-2000s and then ultimately in 2019. Thousands of records were photographs. There were pictures from FBI searches of Jeffrey Epstein's homes in Manhattan and the Virgin Islands. There were also some doses of political and celebrity intrigue. We saw a series of never-before-seen photographs of former President Bill Clinton. We saw fleeting images of President Donald Trump in a larger collection of photographs at one of Epstein's residences. We also saw some images of Epstein with actor Kevin Spacey, with the news anchor Walter Cronkite. There was a photograph of Michael Jackson and Diana Ross with Bill Clinton. But all of these images and all of these documents have been disclosed without much context. The release of documents on Friday is the culmination of a months-long struggle over the fate of the so-called Epstein files. Initially, President Donald Trump and his Justice Department were eager to release its records on Epstein. But in July, the Justice Department stopped releasing records, and that prompted Congress to act. Many people saw Friday as the end of that journey, but as we've seen now, there is going to be a rolling disclosure. This is not the end of this journey. This is merely the beginning of what could be a very lengthy process to get at all of the records the Justice Department has.